This video is going over selecting and understanding your class schedule. First, I will be going over the types of schedule that Cerritos College offers. Classes are either scheduled as remote, online, hybrid, or 100% in person. Let's go over remote. This is where students must log in via Canvas at a specific day and time. For example, it can be a Monday and Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. The class you pick will identify the room location as remote. So instead of attending a class physically on campus at a set time, instead you will attend virtually on your computer at a set time. Let's go over online. This is where students are permitted to log in via Canvas whenever they're available to complete coursework. This is more like an independent course. It will not be mandatory to meet any of your professors, but it's important to note each professor will have their established deadlines on Canvas. Students will need to log into Canvas on the first day of class to check in online. If not, you may be dropped. Now let's talk about the hybrid option. This is where students are basically expected to attend classes both in person and online, basically meaning that half of the coursework will be done in person and the other half will be done via Canvas. It's important to note for hybrid classes, instructors will provide students with information about how they will be meeting for the first class, which might be either in person or online. Let's talk about 100% in person. This is where students are expected to meet on campus at a specific day and time for the certain class. If you choose this option, classes will be identified on Schedule Plus by the physical room location. Keep in mind, if you have not been vaccinated, the hybrid or in-person class may not be most suitable for you unless you have submitted your exemption form and will be continuously submitting your COVID test results before each class session. Now, let's talk about class status descriptions. The first description is open. This means that the class has a seat available for you and that you can enroll into the section via My Cerritos. The next class status is shown as closed. This is where seats are no longer available since the class has been filled up, including the wait list. Or it might be a class where you must contact an instructor because it's aimed towards specific students or programs, which we will be going over more in detail in a bit. Lastly, we have the waitlist. This is when all the open seats have been filled up, but you're more than welcome to join the waitlist and wait to see if you can get into the class if someone has dropped. The waitlist is max 10 people. After that, the class section will stay closed. Just be aware this is never a guarantee that you will get into the class. Let's look at this first class that I chose as an example, Art 101 for 3 units. If you look at the recommendation, it recommends me to have taken these classes, but it is not a requirement. Let's look at the category listed as class. Art 101 offers 2 classes for this semester. Let's go over what the difference is. If you look at option 1, the time for the class is set at 12:30 p.m. to 3:20 p.m. on Wednesdays, located in room FA 133, which stands for Fine Arts. If you look at the second option, nothing under the category of times and days, but the room is identified that the course will be strictly online. If we move over to the categories of seats, both options are allowing 48 students to enroll. If you look under status, there is nothing there at the moment. Once the classes get filled up, a number will appear telling you how many open wait spots are left. If you look next to that, the status says open, but like I mentioned before, once those 48 spots are filled up, it will switch to wait list, allowing another 10 students to add this class to their cart. After the waitlist is full, the status will switch to saying closed. Next, we will be looking at the category instructor. Option 1, you can see that this is labeled as staff. This just means that it might be a part-time professor or they still have not added the details of the professor's information yet. If you look in the second option, there is the name listed already. If you need to email an instructor, if you hover over the blue highlighted name, you can click the hyperlink. Let's look at the category named type. This will always vary between either lecture or lab. I will give you an example of lab later on. And lastly, you can look at the books you will be required for each class. All you have to do is select books and another page will appear showing you the type of course materials that you will be needing for each specific class that you select. So, for example, the book that you'll be needing for Art 101 is Garner's Art Through the Ages. It gives you the edition number, the ISBN number, and so forth. It also gives you the different options, renting versus buying. Returning back to the previous page, take a look at this class, Econ 202M. Look at the recommendation. this is what's listed. But if you look right below, this time we see that it says there is a prerequisite. This means that there's a specific class you must take before enrolling into this one. So for example, this one says that you must have taken Math 60 or equivalent with a C or higher or had completion of an assessment or placement. If you have already done this, don't worry about it. You will be able to enroll freely. The next thing I want to talk about here is the type. You see here, there is a lecture and a laboratory. This means that you have to take both lab and lecture. If you go all the way here underneath class, it gives you the course number. Then for the lab, it says auto. When you place the lecture course number in your shopping cart, you will automatically be enrolled into the lab as well. This means you will be attending class from 11 a.m. to 12:50 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays in room 308, the Social Science Building. And lastly, let's take a look at the category instructor again. The lecture and lab have the same professor listed on both, but there's times where you may get a different lecture professor and a different lab professor. So nothing to be alarmed about if you see two different names sometimes. Next thing I want you to look at is the different color highlights in Schedule Plus. If you see here, it is listed as a regular session. You'll be starting on August 15 and ending December 16. Look at the different highlights section. This is a 15-week session starting August 15 and ending November 23rd. If you look at this other option, this is a 9-week course starting October 17 and ending November 16. Very important to know what date you'll be starting classes. If you do not note this down, you may be dropped from a class because some online and remote classes require you to check in the day of. And for in-person, you must show up on the first day of class or you will be dropped as well, and your seat will be given to someone on the wait list. Another important note is making sure that you will be able to handle a 9-week course or a 15-week course versus a regular schedule course. Usually more work and deadlines come up sooner, and it is known as a faster paced class since it is a shorter class session. I also want to talk about the notes listed under a specific class. Make sure you read these important notes. For example, this one states a portion of the hours of the class will be online with the instructor since it is a hybrid course. It is required to attend both online and in person. Another example of a class that has a note is this one. If you enroll into the English 100 class, it is part of the Health Occupation House in the first year experience program, which includes these other classes. If you're interested in the FYE program, then you would visit this link. Depending on your major, first year experience program, also known as the FYE, will give you a secure spot and help you follow the health occupation pathway that you will need in order to transfer. If you look at this class, it states that it's a hybrid class, but that it is also an honors section. So if you are in the honors program, this is one of the classes that you might be taking as a requirement. Lastly, I want to mention I've been showing you some classes with certain notes. These classes also say closed, and for that reason again, is because they are aimed towards certain students or certain programs. This is why you would have to contact the professors or a counselor if you are interested in any of these programs. I hope this video helped you how to get a better understanding and selection of the class schedule you will be choosing.